wonder if people think we actually have coffee in here, but we don't.
Well, you did the one time, like the very first one you had coffee. You're like,
person.
"Can I drink out of this?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Did you
It's
get scared?
no, because I'm the one that cleans these. I know there's nothing in it. But all right, we're back with yours truly and DJ. We love to have these like update discussions about kind of what our company's doing, what just the world is doing. And this one's particularly exciting because we're coming off a very rare event.
Whoa.
Very, very rare event.
Big time.
The last one didn't even occur on U.S. soil. What am I talking about?
Man, the Jags beating the Buffalo Bills. Woo!
The Jags won a football game.
Let's go.
Yeah, it was
That was
pretty
exciting.
It was pretty wild. I mean, I'm like, all right, I'll leave like, halftime, third quarter, like, I was so glued to the game.
That was
I
crazy.
think it was more exciting.
Josh Allen freaking just balling.
Josh Allen pummeling Josh Allen.
Balling.
Yeah.
So.
It was exciting. Coming from a baseball background, it's like people are like, well, would you rather see like a slugfest or like a pitcher's duel? This was very much, in my eyes, like a pitcher's duel for football. Like, it was just like constant drive. No one really, other than the Bills, played terribly.
Yeah.
And
my fantasy, actually.
That was kind of a thing that everyone's like, my buddy was sweating it out. He's like, I had like minus this or what plus that. And I'm like, yeah, you're not even close.
Trevor Lawrence going down. Everyone thought
that was sketchy. Did we ever read? I didn't read what had happened to him. Did he just get hit?
Ankle kind of got stepped on.
Got stepped on.
Did X-rays, looked good. Came back out, toughened it out. And
yeah,
that's what you do for a franchise quarterback.
That's
to see him
right. Well,
roll out there, try to get the dub. Got the dub. Although
I'll tell you what though, the backup was it Beathard?
Oh yeah, Beathard.
Dude, that guy came in like he didn't miss.
Oh my gosh, throws that dime. Agnew unfortunately dropped it, but it was just, perfectly thrown ball.
Literally, the guys behind us were shouting. He's like, just let this guy finish out the drive. Like, he's got us this far. Like, let him finish out the drive.
It was funny behind us.
Oh man, he was a character. Yeah. He's a real character. But it was actually rare sighting that the Jags toughed it out. Is this going to be the turnaround, you think? You think this could be the pivoting point?
I think with anything in life, in any sports, business, anything, I think that these confidence boosters, they've won 2 out of the last 3 games. They traveled to Seattle, didn't play well, obviously. They won the game in London, came off a bye week, played Seattle, didn't play well, came back here, really made up for it with, arguably everyone's calling to be a Super Bowl contender Buffalo Bills team. Yeah. And that played, Monday Night Football. I happened to be in Nashville for a conference, played Tennessee Titans like down to the wire, which Tennessee Titans are very strong team right now. So, I think we're going to win out, make the playoffs, probably fall short of the Super Bowl this year, but, who knows? I don't know.
Just miss. Yeah, it's definitely exciting because me being a new Jags fan they're like, they're diehard. Like, there's just no turning back. No. And it's funny because, it's like they weren't great. They're struggling. They're figuring it out. But every single game, like, the stadium's packed. Yep. The energy's there. The jersey color is a little different. Like, when we got there, it was a lot of blue jerseys, a lot of white jerseys. But, towards the end of the game, it seemed to be teal and black that stuck around.
You know what I think might have been the Bills' problem is when we were tailgating, I didn't see anybody jumping on through tables like they were supposed to be. So maybe the energy of the crowd wasn't there.
That is true. I did not see a single table split down in Jacksonville.
Man, somebody's going to jump off a van through the table. Didn't happen.
Nobody. And I heard a lot of people talk about, like, oh, I came down from here from the game. I came down from here. And not a single table when we walked out of that parking lot was split, broken, in the garbage. I think you're right. I think the energy was not there. They just came down here. And this is funny.
They thought they were going to win. Super easy.
Exactly.
Just like people can show up to work, think it's going to be easy. Oh, I got my real estate license. This is going to be easy.
Exactly.
Let's compare that to the Buffalo Bills kind of layup.
Dude, exactly, because that's what I wanted to lead into is because when you show up and you think something's going to happen, right, you can prepare, you can whatever, but if you just rely on what should be 8 times, 9 times out of 10, not going to happen.
That's why they say any given Sunday. That's for football, but that's why my heart is into preparation and to making sure that everyone has what they need and the tools they need to succeed. Now, what you do with those tools, hey, what are you going to,
right.
You can't take anything for granted. I think we as humans take a lot of things for granted every day that we definitely shouldn't. We should definitely, show more gratitude, be more grateful on a daily basis. I know I'm working on this, on my personal growth.
Absolutely.
But, someone's out there right now working. Chris is out there working 7:30. I'm like, what are you doing here? He's like, man, I got to work. I was like, just work harder, work harder than everybody else, and just have more knowledge than everybody else.
Right. I mean,
pretty far.
It's pretty much. I spoke to Kevin, one of our new brokers, and he's the director of agent success now. I was speaking to him about Kobe, Michael, Derek Jeter. All those dudes had stupid talent, but their number one North Star from their playing is no one's gonna ever outwork me.
Ever, dude. You hear those stories about Kobe like showing up,
but he could have been awful. But it wasn't.
Yeah.
He had the talent. He had the talent to show up on a Sunday and just beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, beat anybody.
Yeah.
Didn't let that be his, like, whatever. Like, still was out there shooting free throws. I mean, how many stories did you hear about Kobe? You just, like, guys are walking around in the tunnels of the stadium. They hear a basketball going. It's, like, 7 in the morning or it's 12:30 at night. And they peek out there, and there's, like, 3 lights on, and it's Kobe just shooting. Like,
I mean, look at the evolution. I'm going to talk about Steph Curry, about the topic we'll talk about in a little bit. But Steph Curry, came out of Davidson, not a very, everyone was looking at him. Talk about somebody that just put in a lot of work and a shooting, practicing all these shots. And you look at, NBA is kind of on fire right now. Or you look at some of these first round draft picks in the NFL. The only difference is the complacency that some people get saying, hey, I already made it, or I already have this license, or I already sold 10 or 20 houses in a year.
Right.
A lot of people don't, take that and be like, hey, if I work on this and on the off season, how do I get better with investors, new construction, listing more properties?
Yeah. No, you're totally right. It's definitely a sense of complacency, because we always we're the first people to pat ourselves on the back and probably our hardest critic. So you have to think, if you're a single agent and you're projecting, I'm going to sell 12 homes this year, and you sell 15, you sell 16 homes because it's a good year for the market, you're like, this is crazy year for me. Like, not just like, hey, how do I
them out?
Right, like why not double down and push for 20, push for 25, make it a stupid year and set myself up the next 2-3 years to be able to do something else.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yes, you can vacation, buy a new car, whatever you want to do, but you're somebody that's like that now, but you weren't. I remember you telling the story about your first deal where you had, it was either I can go do this or I can buckle down and start my own team, start my own brokerage.
Right.
And I'm sure the waves were firing.
Probably.
But you made the decision.
I sacrificed a lot, and I had to make that decision. And people see, man, it was a hard 10, 12, 13 years of sacrifice.
Our last discussion, I was like,
but
you got licensed.
People see this now, and they're like, oh, yeah, that's – I'm like –
it's crazy.
Holler at me 12 years ago. It's where all this gray hair comes in.
But no, that's important, is that people see that. And we spoke about that earlier too, is like people see Kevin Hart, people see Jim Gaffigan. They see people now have no
Todd on your podcast. I mean, it's like
this is I'm hopeful that people are like, yeah, he used to do a podcast and now that's what he does. But that's it. People are so quick to judge the now that they have no clue what happened prior to that, right?
People have to work hard no matter what industry, no matter what. If you're a professional athlete, if you're, a real estate agent, mortgage, insurance, anything and everything. There are people out there in this community and in the world that are willing to go to any ends of the earth to be successful. And that's and you got to wake up and have that chip on your shoulder to know somebody's coming for you.
Yeah, and you have to, and you have to be a sense of your own motivation too, where like, I mean, we're sitting at the game, and you got people screaming like, oh, so-and-so's a bum. I'm like, the dude is a professional athlete.
Yeah.
He's 6'8", like 240, like specimen has worked. Like, they don't just ask people to just be like, hey, like, well, if you saw some of the games, you'd think that they just ask people to come on the field.
Well, yesterday Noah and I were watching SportsCenter, and it kind of like, just it was kind of on low. We were just all kind of after dinner. We were just talking. There's 2 guys boxing. I don't follow boxing that much, but I'm watching this program that's kind of leading up to the big boxing match. I think it's this Saturday. And you can see he's talking about, hey, I always wanted to be a professional boxer. He's 12 years old. He's in the ring. They're throwing medicine balls at his stomach. Then he has to do sit-ups. Then he's been working that hard
from 12.
From 12, he's probably 25, and sure he is a champion. I know that, but I think everyone's like, you don't understand what goes into that,
right?
And it's crazy to
think. Oh, this dude's 25. Like, his life barely started. It's like, this dude's been doing it since 12.
Yeah, 12.
What have you been doing since you were 12 years old?
Right.
That you're now, even as an adult, other than probably surfing, maybe shooting basketball around, like, that's like a very small niche thing that happens that you take something like that and go.
And then go. But wait, I'm 25. I just got a real estate license. I just went through all of this fingerprinting, all the state application, waiting, test taking. Not an easy test.
Right.
You've made that decision, but then you're going to be like, where I go and what I do in the next 30 to 60 to 90 days is pretty much, unless you have a huge nest egg that you have of money, that decision that you make in 30, 60, 90 days of what you're going to do for your career, for your boxing career, for your world championship that you're trying to make is the biggest decision. And yet the due diligence that goes into it of what they should and how they should do it, I think, unfortunately gets derailed a little bit.
Yeah. Take
it to a year or two agents. Say you've had a little bit of success, 3 to 5 sales maybe in your first year, which would be an incredible year for
a first year
most
agent.
agents,
Yeah.
right? But then what happens if that decreases, the next year?
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the average real estate salary right now, I think the NAR was like $52,000, or it's not all it's not what you see on TV, the Lamborghinis on.
Well, that's it. I mean, selling, there's so many things that are just glorified now, but I think you're totally right. Like, no one sees the amount of hard work. Like, I saw a great meme the other day, and so coming from production, coming from the digital side, equipment's expensive, very expensive. There will be freelancers or people that will spend $6,000 on equipment and then spend like $50 on marketing their own services. Like, yes, you need the equipment, you need the tools, you need the real estate license, you need the schooling, you need all these things to do that. You need to be a part of the boards. But then why just fall short by doing all the things? Like, there's things, working hard is not a dollar amount.
No.
Picking up the phone and calling, answering the phone, it's not a dollar amount. It's free. It's free to work. It's totally free to just give your 100% energy into something.
Effort.
100%. It's
Talk
completely
about taking
free.
things for granted. We don't, and this is why we do our morning meetings. We try to get the motivation going at a really high level. Look, bad days, good days, it's all around. But the people that can leave it at the door and understand, like, hey, I have a purpose. And in our meeting, I asked, what everyone's purpose was.
Yeah. Your why.
Forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, where do you see yourself? What's your dent in the universe going to be in 1 year, 5 years, and 20 years? And that's a big question that many people don't think about. But if you're not willing to properly put yourself in the position to work to even think about that, then you're DOA.
Yeah, right. Because it's like, well, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're just waking up every single day, just going through the motions, like doing whatever. I mean, that's literally what the Buffalo Bills did. They showed up, went through the motions, and they got their. They didn't get stomped, but like emotionally, they got stomped. Right. Now you got to carry that.
Yeah.
You have to be the team that you're like, yeah. Let's.
Could you imagine that plane ride home?
Yeah.
That was probably not good.
Not ideal. But that's what's so frustrating, at least to me. And like we see, agents, like you said, they come and go, and people think they know what's best for them or not. But what's great about this, and at least what I love, and you kind of pioneer me to kind of handle my side, and I learn from you, is that you're doing anything and everything necessary to ensure that we'll be at the forefront of something. So Zillow just announced huge news that they're going to be stop buying homes. Their Zillow offer program done, dead in the water. The world like erupted. We're like, I told you I did.
Well, when you say the world, the real estate world.
The real estate world. But
not
they're
a
like,
consumer on my page was really.
Well, correct. But everybody's like, I told you, I already knew this, then. It's like, whatever. How are you going to react to this? Is at least the thing that I see. The biggest thing is like people are all up in arms about catching up about what did happen.
Yeah.
Where you and the team that we have here is all about
where are we going
where
next?
We're going next. And
people stay stuck in that, and they'll complain about what Zillow's doing or what they were trying to do, or maybe they, sure, companies make mistakes, they take risks, they do things, but in the grand scheme of things, for what they're doing and what they're trying to become, I mean, they get 220 million eyeballs on their site per month, 220 million. So they have the traffic, and if you look at it in the YouTube influencer, Instagram, bloggers, all of these things, it's about eyeballs, right?
Yeah.
They're going to do this for this. People still search for their homes on Zillow, and they're always going to.
Correct.
Now they're not going to sell their home to Zillow. Now Zillow is, I think, going
because it's not offered. It's not that they're just going to be like, I'm not selling my home. You're right. It's not a single consumer was speaking about this. It was everybody in the industry who thinks they were in the know, and they're reacting with everybody else. I'm like, if you were in the know, you would have known about this and have been planning ahead.
And maybe Rich Barton, the board members, maybe they see something. Who knows?
Right.
And they're said, hey, this is gonna it's going to look very bad. We, made a mistake, business innovation.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be, ripple effects, but I think it takes a lot of courage to just say, hey, I'm out, and then say, hey, I'm going to pivot and I'm going to do what we need to do. So I think for us as a brokerage, I'm really bullish on the future. I'm very excited for the partnership with Zillow. I think it's going to take our agents to another level. They're already, listing tons of properties and doing all of these things. So my relationship with Zillow is, I was part of, their broker partner.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's changed. We're moving forward. We all learned a lot. I learned a lot about business. I learned a lot about,
I mean, being in that arena with somebody like Zillow,
publicly
is huge.
traded company.
Yeah.
And it's neat. It's been a learning experience, but again, we're focused on the branding, the marketing, and solidifying ourselves in this community that you don't, necessarily have to go to Zillow, that you can go to the DJ&Lindsey.com, get all of your resources from our brand, because you are going to get an end-to-end solution that's, in my opinion, not flawless. It's close to flawless.
Yeah, you're totally right. Yeah.
And will we make mistakes in between? Absolutely. Will we take risk? Absolutely. But
we'll
if
learn
I'm a
from
consumer, whether I want to buy or sell, I know that I can get an Uber experience if I go to DJandLindsey.com and I pull, and I search there and I click a button. You're going to have a conversation with a live licensed real estate agent, the click of a finger, that is trained, that is well versed on this, on this particular market. And I think that's the future.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. It's Uber for real estate. It's Amazon for real estate. It's being able to get your questions answered, your concerns answered like that in no time, and then having that person then follow up on that, like, hey, I remember you had those questions, like, where are you at? Are you still thinking about that? Okay, cool. No harm, no foul. Like, hey, if whenever you have that opportunity or whatever, let us know. Like, we're here for you. And I think you're right. People are so worried about reacting to news versus here we're like, okay, this is what happened. Now we're going to do this, versus like people that are just talking about it and worried about what other people are doing. If you're worried about what other people are doing, how could you possibly be worried about what you're doing?
Right.
And
people like to see failures. People like to see people, not succeed, or they root for people to not succeed. It's crazy out there.
It's
I
wild
love
to
see,
me.
People take risk every day opening businesses and doing all of these things. We talk about supporting local and doing all of these things, and it's like we have all of these things in the community, yet we still choose not to support what we have, but then we want to bash. And it's just, unfortunately, maybe why the metaverse is popping up.
Maybe that's true. But we do. So one of our big initiatives now, like we want to try and drive, the small business community, because we're a part of it. I mean, we are a part of the small business community.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even though we are a big name in this space, in this area, we are very much a small business. I mean, you and Lindsey grew this team from you and Lindsey.
Yeah.
And now we're what, almost 80-something agents,
36 W2 employees.
It's bananas. And to think that people don't see that, like, people are quick to like a photo from, like, Jay-Z puts it, Jay-Z just started his Instagram, but had one picture up there was like a bajillion likes on it, whatever. But you post about your bakery that you and your fiance just opened up, and you get like 13 likes. It's like, I knew them.
That person's putting everything on the line.
Literally. Jay-Z's Instagram account was up, down, 3 billion likes, gone, and then just not anymore.
Like, when Lindsey and I started this, it was her and I signed a 5-year commercial lease, furnished this whole place, and we're like, what do we do now?
What do we do now?
Hey, we're putting it all on the line. We knew what we needed to make every month, and that's why we sold real estate, and just kept reinvesting. But the small businesses every day are taking risk, and we have to understand that if we can support them at a really high level, if they're doing what they need to do. But on the flip side, if you are opening a small business, we are in a customer service crisis right now.
Yes.
COVID has opened the door for all of these businesses. I'm building a house right now. I'm just going to use that as an example. Vendors, it doesn't matter. Vendors for, tiles or windows, or it's just, the answer is always, I don't know what to do. I can't help you. And now that falls into, cable companies, and we've always known that, they're trying to work on. But my point is if we're in a customer service crisis right now, and you're opening a small business, or you are a small business and you're a real estate agent, and your number one thing isn't customer service, you're 3 years behind.
Right.
You're 3 months behind, because if you can step up and do that, that's why I'm so passionate about making sure that we have the best customer service, because we live in a world of very, it's the, job crisis going on, that we just live in a world that the customer service has definitely dropped on all levels.
Right.
So
because
if we
they
can bring it up here, then
people just figure they're like, oh, well, they'll do it anyway.
Right.
Well, that doesn't mean they have to have just an absolute awful time doing it.
Right. And I use this example. Everyone's like, oh, I can't give good service. Like, BS. Go to Chick-fil-A. They're a machine.
Yeah.
How is Chick-fil-A? They might be paying people a little bit more, but you pull up to Chick-fil-A, they got their people outside. They're doing their thing. Chick-fil-A isn't saying, oh, my gosh. I mean, maybe they are behind the scenes. Who knows?
But
we have a job crisis, but they're not letting their brand falter because of that.
Yeah.
So how much of it is an excuse to not,
right.
and carry yourself to the
it's
next
even
level?
more ironic that Chick-fil-A carries the stigma of having good customer service. And it's weird that I use the word stigma, because there's memes about it where it's like people sprinting next to the side of the car, like, what kind of sauce do you want? I'm like, we're almost joking about how good the service is. And we have an employee from Chick-fil-A, one of our best.
We have 2 now.
We have 2?
Yeah.
See,
Reagan and Hannah.
Okay, Hannah. Okay,
Yeah.
I could see. Okay, I could see that, because Hannah's one of our new transaction coordinators. Great young girl. She's always at Dana's desk, like
She's
asking questions.
phenomenal.
Hey, what can I do? How can I help you? Dana, and I specific one conversation. She was like, I mean, if you want like this kind of like drab menial task, she's like, great, I'll take it, because she knows that if she can understand that facet, and it's this menial task, she'll understand the weight it carries, that like no one might want to do it, but it has to get done.
Yeah.
And what type of person?
It's great.
Right? What
Because
type of person's first reaction is give it to me?
They were in an organization that was built on that. So,
Exactly.
If you work at Chick-fil-A and you're looking for new employment, please go to DJ&Lindsey.com /careers.
/careers, or work at 904, work
Yeah.
with DJ and Lindsey, join DJ and Lindsey.
Yes.
Any of those domains will redirect you to our success team, because, yes, of course, we'd love to speak with you.
Stone.
It's a great model. I mean, that and Publix. I mean, both of those two are great North Stars as far as like the consumer is the number one priority. The 2 of them are great. You briefly brought up the metaverse. I want to jump into this, because this is like, it's new for everybody. And I think that's my biggest point. It's super new for me, but it's new for everybody. Everyone's starting in the same plane.
Right.
But you've taken the priority of like, okay, I'm going to learn about this, because there's a lot of people talking about it. I want to know if it's garbage or it's the real deal. So I briefly brought up before our discussion NFTs. I'm like, I get it, but I don't get it. I was like, I feel like it's the fine art world's segue to try and jump into the digital space, and you're like, boom, you nailed it. Like, that's what it is.
Well, I was talking to a friend earlier, my friend Nick, and we were having this conversation. I watched my kid and all his friends play Fortnite, and they would buy these skins and do all of these things. You had different, Nike, you have different collabs coming out. So I think, and I don't know, and this is it's new.
It's
kind of funny, but it's like a flex. So if you buy this art, or you buy this clothes, or you have this house, with crypto, that's kind of trending really hard right now. Bitcoin just hit an all-time high yesterday, and who knows? I think that people. Let's take this example of the Bored Ape NFT. It's the I don't know if you guys have seen it. Steph Curry just bought his.
So it's basically it's a monkey. It's like a digital monkey.
Yeah,
artwork,
and then they're changing their Twitter to it, so it's like a group. There's only 10,000 of them made, so it's like a group, and they used to trade at like $300 or $400 now. Steph Curry just bought one a few days ago for $180,000. Steph Curry, the guy we brought up earlier. So, and you're like, why would somebody do this? And from my understanding, I think it's a club. Like, they're not making any more. They're from what I understand, they're going to do stuff in the metaverse. In the metaverse, that's virtual reality stuff. I think they're going to do off-site stuff at call it Art Basel or different CMA events.
Oh, and then using those things as like a credential or a token
if you have that token, you get
entry. That's pretty cool. I mean, yeah, obviously Facebook rebranding to being Meta now. There's a lot of this metaverse conversation happening, and it's kind of funny that it seems to be that crypto was the first thing in the metaverse. This is digital currency. Okay, we have a platform to build stuff off of, and now we're going into aesthetic and art because. You're right. It's just a flex.
That's it.
There's nothing. No one ever needs anything inside the metaverse.
You don't need that. You don't need the.
You don't need to be in there. You're not like, man, so and so the terrible situation, but if they were only in the metaverse, they'd be better.
But here you go. What do people want to be a part of? They want to be a part of a community.
Yes.
But now, how can I be a part of this community? Well, you need to buy it right, and then you can be in the right community. But who knows what that'll be? I don't know enough about it.
Right.
But I just think there's a lot of parallels to people wanting to be a part of something that's really cool, really trendy, really up and coming.
Absolutely. And that's what you guys have built here is this up and coming trendy vibe. I mean, we have a secret project going on in our Jacksonville office because that was it. It's just like, how can we level up not only opportunities for agents, but like the space? How can we level up the experience when you come into this office and you're doing your work, you're making phone calls, you're having a closing, you're doing whatever it is? How can we level up this space? And that's one of the things that's going on now, because you're right. People want to be a part of something, and more often than not, it's the people who are either afraid to be a part of something or for whatever reason can't be a part of something because of the type of things they've done or the person that they are. They're the number one people who are on that keyboard like this.
Right.
Going bananas.
Yeah. Bananas. Well, what's the secret, Todd?
The secret is being a good human being and being honest, transparency. Like, don't.
You said a secret project.
Oh, the secret project?
Oh, you can't tell me because it's secret.
Well, I could tell you because it should be done by the time this gets posted. We're redoing so we have a great break room, and I want to redo it. I want it to be this funky cosmopolitan Las Vegas vibe where it's just like the energy's in there. Agents are coming in and out. We have breakfasts, vendors coming in here all the time, bringing breakfast, celebrating, hey, we have this thing going on with closing, this and that.
My man.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I'm like, this is going to be a space where when these vendors come in, they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to DJ&Lindsey. It's so cute. Like, that's my goal.
Todd, the media guy, the
interior design
interior designer, podcast extraordinaire.
That's it.
Football, broadcaster now. I think, your future's bright.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get there. Got to start somewhere. So, anyway, thanks for coming on again.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thank you guys for always listening, supporting, sharing, because
subscribe to the channel so you can always see these pop up.
I mean, we love doing this. I love doing this. We did it kind of out of necessity because we just needed to get this information out, and now it's just absolute joy. I mean, people ask me all the time to come on. I'm like, we're going to get to everybody, but
and then next Tuesday we'll talk about the Jags win again. Hopefully,
next
fingers
Tuesday,
crossed.
Fingers crossed, exactly.
So, well, thanks again, everybody.
All right, thanks. Later.